Every man who has ever felt the sting of rejection, the heat of jealousy, or the desperate pull of wanting someone who does not want him back has encountered the same enemy. It is not the woman. It is not circumstances. It is not bad timing or bad luck. The enemy is within, and it wears the mask of ego and desire. The ancient Stoics understood something that most modern men have forgotten: that our suffering in matters of attraction and relationship does not come from women themselves, but from our inability to master our own internal responses to them. This is not a comfortable truth. It is, in fact, a truth that most people will spend their entire lives avoiding. But if you are willing to face it, if you are willing to do the difficult work of becoming unmoved by forces that have controlled you for years, then what follows will change everything. Epictetus, who was born a slave and became one of history's greatest philosophers, taught that we are not disturbed by things, but by the views we take of them. When a woman rejects you, the pain you feel is not caused by her rejection. It is caused by what you have told yourself that rejection means. When you see a beautiful woman and feel that urgent pull of desire, that sensation of needing to have her attention, her approval, her body, that is not love. That is ego dressed in the costume of attraction. The Stoics spent their lives training themselves to distinguish between what they could control and what they could not, and in doing so, they found a freedom that seems almost impossible to us now. Before we go further, ask yourself this: how many of your decisions, your moods, your sense of self-worth have been determined by women's responses to you? And if you are ready to reclaim that power, to build an unshakable center that no external force can destabilize, then stay with me. Let us begin by examining the nature of ego. In Stoic philosophy, ego is not simply arrogance or pride, though it includes these things. Ego is the false self, the constructed identity that depends on external validation for its survival. Your ego tells you that you need to be desired by women to be valuable. It tells you that rejection is a reflection of your worth. It tells you that if you can just get that particular woman to want you, then you will finally feel complete, worthy, at peace. Every single one of these messages is a lie, and every time you believe one of these lies, you hand your power over to forces outside your control. Marcus Aurelius, who ruled the Roman Empire at its height, wrote in his private journals that the opinion of others should hold no power over us. This was not theoretical philosophy for him. He was constantly surrounded by people seeking his favor, flattering him, trying to manipulate him. He understood intimately how seductive it is to build your identity on what others think of you. And he fought every day to remember that his value came from his character, his virtue, his alignment with reason, not from the approval or disapproval of others. When you make a woman's desire for you the measure of your worth, you have enslaved yourself more thoroughly than any chains could achieve. Desire, in Stoic thought, is not inherently evil or wrong. The Stoics were not advocating for the elimination of all wanting. They were advocating for the transformation of desire from a master into a servant. There is a vast difference between appreciating beauty and being enslaved by it. There is a difference between wanting connection and desperately needing it to feel whole. The untrained man is buffeted by his desires like a ship without a rudder, thrown this way and that by every attractive woman who crosses his path. The trained man feels desire, acknowledges it, and remains centered in his own purpose and direction. Seneca wrote that we suffer more often in imagination than in reality. Think about how much mental and emotional energy you have spent fantasizing about women who barely know you exist. Think about how many hours you have lost to obsessive thoughts about someone who rejected you, playing the interaction over and over in your mind, torturing yourself with alternative scenarios and what-ifs. This is not love. This is not even desire in its pure form. This is ego throwing a tantrum because it did not get what it wanted. The Stoic practice is to catch yourself in these mental loops and ask a simple question. Is this thinking helping me become a better person? Or is it simply allowing my ego to feed on its own drama? The connection between ego and desire is this. Ego needs to possess and control in order to feel safe. When you see a beautiful woman and immediately feel that you must have her, that impulse is ego trying to acquire another trophy, another piece of evidence that you are valuable and worthy. But here is what ego never tells you. No amount of external validation will ever be enough. You can sleep with 100 women, and the emptiness will remain. You can get the most beautiful woman in the room to choose you, and you will still feel insecure. Because the problem was never out there. It was always in here, in the way you have built your identity on sand instead of stone. The Stoics distinguished between what they called preferred indifference and true goods. A preferred indifferent is something that is naturally desirable but not necessary for virtue or well-being. A beautiful partner, sexual satisfaction, romantic connection, these are all preferred indifference. They are nice to have, but they are not the source of the good life. The true goods are wisdom, justice, courage, and self-discipline. These are the only things that can never be taken from you, the only things that genuinely contribute to human flourishing. When you confuse preferred indifference with true goods, when you make a woman's approval necessary for your happiness, you have fundamentally misunderstood what it means to live well. To stay unmoved is not to become cold or indifferent. This is perhaps the most common misunderstanding of Stoic philosophy. People hear the idea of being unmoved and imagine an emotionless robot, someone who has killed all feeling and connection. This is not what the Stoics taught. What they taught was the development of equanimity, a stable, centered inner state that remains constant regardless of external circumstances. You can feel attraction without being controlled by it. You can experience disappointment without being shattered by it. You can desire connection without making it the foundation of your identity. The practice of staying unmoved begins with radical honesty about your own motivations. Why do you want this particular woman? Is it because you genuinely appreciate her character, her mind, her unique qualities? Or is it because she is beautiful and having her would make you feel more valuable? Is it because you actually enjoy her company, or because she is a challenge and your ego needs to win? Is it because you want to build something meaningful together, or because you are afraid of being alone? These questions require brutal self-examination, and most men never ask them. They simply follow the pull of desire wherever it leads and then wonder why they end up feeling empty even when they get what they thought they wanted. Epictetus taught his students to regularly examine their impressions, the automatic judgments and reactions that arise in response to external events. When you see an attractive woman, your mind immediately generates impressions. She is desirable. I need to approach her. Getting her would make me happy. Rejection would be painful. The Stoic practice is to pause and examine these impressions before acting on them. Are they true? Are they helpful? Are they leading you toward virtue or away from it? This pause, this moment of conscious examination, is where freedom lives. The ego operates through a series of stories it tells you about who you are and what you need. One of its favorite stories is the scarcity narrative. This woman is special. You may never find someone like her again. If you do not act now, you will miss your chance. If she rejects you, it means you are not good enough. Every element of this story is designed to create urgency and anxiety, to bypass your rational mind and trigger impulsive action driven by fear. The Stoics understood that scarcity thinking is a form of slavery. When you believe that your happiness depends on securing a limited resource that might disappear, you will do almost anything to get it. You will compromise your values, ignore red flags, tolerate disrespect, and abandon your own direction in life. The antidote to scarcity thinking is the recognition of abundance, not the shallow abundance of pickup artist philosophy that treats women as interchangeable, but the deeper abundance of knowing that your value does not depend on any single person's response to you. There are billions of people in the world, millions of potential partners, countless opportunities for connection, growth, and love. But more importantly, your fundamental okayness, your worth as a human being, is not determined by whether any of them choose you. This is the foundation of staying unmoved, the unshakable knowledge that you are complete in yourself. Marcus Aurelius practiced a meditation where he would imagine losing everything he valued: his power, his family, his health, his life. This was not morbid pessimism. It was training himself to maintain equanimity in the face of loss. When you practice imagining a woman rejecting you, losing interest in you, or leaving you, and you train yourself to remain centered through that imagination, you are building psychological immunity to the actual event. The loss becomes less catastrophic because you have already processed it mentally and emotionally. You realize that you will survive it, that your life will continue, that your worth remains intact. If this approach to desire and ego is resonating with you, consider subscribing to this channel, where we explore these ancient principles not as abstract theory, but as practical tools for building an unshakable life. Let us talk specifically about sexual desire, because this is where many men lose their center most dramatically. Sexual desire is one of the most powerful biological drives we possess. It is meant to be powerful. It ensures the continuation of the species. But the Stoics recognized that just because a drive is natural does not mean we should be enslaved by it. The untrained man is pulled around by his sexual desire like a dog on a leash. He makes decisions based on sexual availability. He tolerates toxic relationships because the sex is good. He pursues women he does not even like because his body is demanding release. The Stoic approach to sexual desire is not suppression or denial. It is transformation through awareness. When you feel sexual desire, instead of immediately acting on it or being controlled by it, you pause and observe it. You notice how it feels in your body. You recognize it as a natural biological response, no different than hunger or thirst. You acknowledge it without judgment, and then you make a conscious choice about how to respond. Sometimes the response is action. Sometimes it is redirection of that energy into other pursuits. Sometimes it is simply allowing the desire to exist without needing to do anything about it. There is a particular form of suffering that arises when ego and desire combine in the presence of a woman who does not want you. This is the pain of unrequited desire, and it has destroyed more men's peace of mind than almost any other experience. The Stoics had a specific practice for this situation, and it requires understanding the nature of attachment. You suffer not because she does not want you, but because you have attached your sense of well-being to her wanting you. The moment you made that attachment, you lost your freedom. Seneca wrote that we should love all things as if they were on loan to us, knowing that they must be returned. This applies to people as well. When you love someone, when you desire someone, you must do so with an open hand, not a clenched fist. The clenched fist tries to hold on, to possess, to control. The open hand offers and receives freely, without grasping. This is perhaps the most difficult practice in all of Stoic philosophy, because it requires you to remain fully engaged with life while simultaneously remaining non-attached to outcomes. How do you desire a woman while staying unmoved by whether she desires you back? This is the question that seems paradoxical on the surface but contains profound wisdom beneath. You desire her by appreciating her qualities, by enjoying her presence, by expressing genuine interest. But you stay unmoved by maintaining your center in your own virtue, your own purpose, your own completeness. Her response to you becomes information rather than validation. If she reciprocates, wonderful. If she does not, also wonderful. Both outcomes are acceptable because your fundamental okayness does not depend on which one occurs. The ego hates this practice because it removes drama, urgency, and importance from the ego's favorite playground. Ego wants you to believe that this interaction, this woman, this moment is critically important to your future happiness. It wants you on the edge of your seat, anxious and activated. Because when you are in that state, ego is in control. When you relax into non-attachment, ego loses its grip. You become difficult to manipulate, difficult to control, difficult to destabilize. This is threatening not just to your own ego, but to anyone who has been using your desire to manipulate you. Let us address the role of jealousy, because this is where ego and desire create perhaps their most toxic combination. Jealousy arises when you believe that someone else is getting something that should be yours. It assumes possession, entitlement, and scarcity all at once. The Stoics viewed jealousy as a fundamental error in thinking. No person belongs to you. No person owes you their desire or affection. And your happiness cannot depend on controlling someone else's choices. When you feel jealousy rising, whether because a woman you want is interested in someone else, or because a partner is giving attention elsewhere, the Stoic practice is to examine the beliefs underlying that jealousy. What are you really afraid of? Often jealousy is masking a deeper fear of inadequacy. If she chooses him instead of me, it means I am not good enough. This is ego again, making someone else's choice a referendum on your worth. But her choice of someone else says nothing about your value. It says only that she preferred something different in that moment. People are drawn to others for countless reasons, many of which have nothing to do with objective merit or worth. Chemistry, timing, personal history, unhealed wounds, all of these factors influence attraction in ways that have nothing to do with you. The practice of staying unmoved in the face of jealousy is to return constantly to what is in your control. You cannot control who she is attracted to. You cannot control whether she chooses you. You can control your own character development, your own choices, your own responses. When you redirect your energy from trying to control her desire to improving yourself, you paradoxically often become more attractive. But more importantly, you become free. The prison of jealousy has no power over someone who has accepted that they control only themselves. Marcus Aurelius faced betrayal, disappointment, and disloyalty from people he trusted. His response was not to become bitter or hardened, but to continue focusing on his own virtue. He wrote that the best revenge is to be unlike the person who performed the injury. When a woman behaves in ways that disappoint or hurt you, your ego wants revenge, wants to punish, wants to prove your value by making her regret her choices. The Stoic response is to simply maintain your own integrity and move forward. Her loss of a good man is consequence enough. You do not need to add drama or retaliation to the equation. There is also wisdom in recognizing that much of what we call desire for a specific woman is actually desire for what she represents or what we imagine she could give us. We desire the validation of being chosen by someone beautiful. We desire the relief from loneliness. We desire the status that comes with an attractive partner. We desire the escape from our own internal emptiness. When you strip away all these projected desires and look at the actual person, you often find that your urgent need for her diminishes. This is not cynicism. This is clarity, and clarity is the foundation of freedom. As we move toward integrating these practices into daily life, let us be clear about what staying unmoved actually looks like in practical terms. It does not mean you never approach women you are attracted to. It does not mean you never pursue connection or express interest. It does not mean you become passive or resigned. What it means is that you approach, pursue, and express from a place of abundance and centeredness rather than neediness and desperation. The unmoved man can walk up to the most beautiful woman in the room and start a conversation without his hands shaking, without his worth hanging on her response, without the desperate energy that repels genuine connection. He can express interest clearly and directly, and he can handle rejection with grace because his fundamental okayness is not on trial. He can be vulnerable without being needy, because vulnerability from a place of strength is attractive while vulnerability from a place of desperation is not. The first practical step is daily practice of observing your own reactions. Each time you feel that pull of desire, that activation of ego, that surge of jealousy or neediness, you pause and observe it. You name it, you recognize it for what it is. This is not suppression. This is conscious awareness. Over time, this practice creates a gap between stimulus and response, and in that gap, you can choose how to proceed rather than being dragged along by unconscious compulsion. The second practical step is to develop a life of genuine purpose that exists independent of romantic or sexual success. The Stoics believed deeply that human beings need meaningful work, contribution to their community, and constant development of virtue. When your life is filled with purpose, when you are building something meaningful, when you are becoming the kind of person you respect, then any individual woman's response to you becomes less significant. Not because you do not care about connection, but because your entire sense of self is not riding on that connection. The third practical step is to practice voluntary discomfort. The Stoics regularly engaged in practices like fasting, cold exposure, and voluntary poverty to train themselves not to be dependent on comfort and pleasure. In the context of desire, this might mean periods of voluntary celibacy, declining opportunities for casual sex that do not align with your values, or deliberately spending time alone rather than constantly seeking female company. These practices build your capacity to be okay without external validation or pleasure. They strengthen your center. The fourth practical step is the cultivation of genuine appreciation without possession. You can appreciate a woman's beauty, intelligence, humor, or presence without needing to own it or control it. You can enjoy a conversation without needing it to lead anywhere. You can experience attraction without needing to act on it. This is aesthetic appreciation, the ability to value something simply because it is valuable, not because you can extract something from it. When you develop this capacity, you become much more pleasant to be around, because people can feel when they are being appreciated versus when they are being acquired. The fifth practical step is the practice of premeditation of adversity. Before you approach a woman, before you go on a date, before you express interest, you imagine the worst-case scenario and you make peace with it. She rejects you rudely. She ignores you. She leads you on and then disappears. She chooses someone else. Whatever scenario your ego most fears, you visualize it fully, and you remind yourself that you will survive it, that your worth remains intact, that your life continues. This practice removes the catastrophic power from rejection. Epictetus told his students that they should never say of anything that they have lost it, but that they have returned it. When a relationship ends, when a woman chooses someone else, when desire goes unfulfilled, you practice this refrain. You did not lose anything that was ever truly yours. You simply experienced something temporarily, and now it has returned to the universe. This perspective is not cold. It is liberating. It allows you to engage fully with life without clinging desperately to any particular outcome. In the final analysis, the Stoic way to stay unmoved in the face of women, ego, and desire is to build your identity on the only foundation that cannot be shaken: your own character, your own virtue, your own alignment with reason in nature. Everything else is temporary, conditional, and beyond your ultimate control. When you accept this truth deeply, not just intellectually but in your bones, you become truly free. You can love without fear because you are not dependent on that love for your okayness. You can desire without desperation because you know that the fulfillment of desire is pleasant but not necessary. You can face rejection without devastation because you know that one person's opinion does not determine your value. You can experience attraction without being enslaved by it because you have trained yourself to remain centered regardless of the storms of emotion that pass through you. This is the promise of Stoic philosophy, not a life without feeling, but a life where feelings no longer control you. Not a life without desire, but a life where desire serves your highest self rather than dragging you away from it. Not a life without women, but a life where your relationship with women flows from abundance and strength rather than neediness and fear. This is possible. It requires daily practice, constant vigilance, and the willingness to face uncomfortable truths about yourself. But it is possible, and the freedom it offers is worth every bit of effort required to achieve it. If you are ready to commit to this path, to building an unmoved center that nothing can shake, then subscribe to this channel.